Hello, my name is Lauren McGrath, and I'm a rising senior in the anthropology department. I'm a student on the medical anthropology track, and my thesis research this summer, as funded by the Center of Health and Wellbeing, aims to investigate how structural violence manifesting in many different manners, but specifically the absence of progress, affects variables such as health in residents of urban Philadelphia neighborhoods. In this presentation, I'm going to give a brief synopsis of my research process, questions, and findings as detailed in this digital poster. First, I'll introduce my project and the aims for the study. To give you context, I initially gained interest in researching urban neighborhoods, specifically in Philadelphia, after working in that community during the summer of 2019. I worked with Jefferson's Health Design Lab in a PICS internship, which was also funded by CHW, to design initiatives that would reveal the resilient nature of families that were flourishing in the neighborhood despite the presence of the opioid epidemic. This experience connected greatly with a concept called structural violence, which is often investigated in the anthropology discipline. Therefore, my research explores how, for Philadelphia residents, their urban environment, the Philadelphia historical narrative, and structural violence converge and affect health-related measures. To do so, I employed methods such as ethnographic fieldwork in the format of informalized virtual interviews, data visualization utilizing the Tableau platform, and archival research to situate my knowledge in the context of Philadelphia's urban manufacturing history. Going into this summer, I had a vague idea of what variables I was interested in exploring ethnographically. They include urban neighborhoods, health, and structural violence. As an anthropology major, I knew that my research focus and direction of investigation would become apparent once I was at my field site and my interlocutors, or Philadelphia urban residents, discussed how their urban environment, the Philadelphia historical narrative, and structural violence converged and affected health-related measures. However, I quickly encountered a problem when the pandemic emerged, as I no longer had personal access to my urban Philadelphia field site, and therefore lost that personal accessibility that comes with ethnographic research. I had planned on spending a significant amount of time this summer conducting ethnographic interviews, but found that none of my previous contacts in the area had the time or availability to get back to me, which is understandable given the challenges that our society is dealing with currently. I tried to adapt and change my IRB protocol to utilize informalized Facebook groups to recruit community members to my project. But again, I found it difficult to communicate my sincerity and investment into these individuals' health and urban narratives in reaching out over Facebook. While I was able to complete a few interviews, I felt a bit stuck in terms of progress. I was having trouble understanding how to conduct an ethnographic-based project without any accessibility. However, I quickly shifted focus and invested my time in learning a data visualization software, Tableau. This summer, I tried to channel some of my ethnographic questions as inspiration for various data visualizations using data that was collected by the anthropology department's Visi lab and given to me by request by the Philadelphia Health Department. Some of my driving questions were: who has access to data, who is represented by data, and who counts in terms of data? In my position as I create data visualizations, who gets to visualize and who is visualized? Finally, how does one visualize the absence of a phenomenon? I found momentum forward in my project with this question because I found that I'm driven to explore an aspect of structural violence that exists in the space of absence. Specifically, how have certain societal measures hindered or maintained the absence of progress in urban communities? I'm hoping that my visualizations, which aim to represent these dynamics, will prove to be starting points of conversation with my interlocutors of the future in describing how structural violence manifesting in absence affects variables such as health. For example, one of my areas of interest is how the absence of progress in mitigating urban health penalties has forced residents to prioritize some health concerns over others, which varies by geographic region. For example, based on where you live in Philadelphia, you may worry more about the opioid epidemic or the environmental health impacts of the history of lead smelting in neighborhoods. So for this visualization, as pictured here on the poster, took a lead smelting data set, graphed it on a map, and connected it with latitude and longitude points to show residents that while these factories are no longer around, the invisible contaminants are in areas in their neighborhoods and recreational areas. The other visualization will eventually allow residents to determine how far their location of interest, for example, a chosen playground or their home, is from known historical smelting sites. Moving on to continuing this discussion into the future, I found evidence this summer, both through interviews and data visualization, that Philadelphia communities are dealing with many layered, complex health concerns. These vary by geographic region and originate from multiple different time periods in the city of Philadelphia's history. In conclusion, I hope to take these findings into consideration as I work to understand how urban populations view, prioritize, and create hierarchies of medical concerns. My goal is that my findings will provide situated, contextual, and community-based feedback to develop effective interventions to improve the health of urban Philadelphia communities. To close, I want to thank the Center of Health and Wellbeing for funding my research, my thesis advisor and director of the Anthropology Department's Visi Lab for his mentorship for my project, and all present and future interlocutors that I will collaborate on with this thesis. Thank you.